Hey guys, I am here with Nate Summers. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello everybody, I'm a full-time bladesmith working out of my home in West Jordan. I'm a Forge and Fire champion, been doing this for a couple of years as a job now. And we decided to make the ultimate ring and knife collaboration.
Yes.
So today we're going to make the knife, and then next week we're going to make the ring.
Yeah, let's get to it.
All right.
My first step is to cut the steel from bar stock. Rounding the corners will help prevent a problem known as fish slipping, which can occur during forging. I'll be sure to gather all the supplies I'll need to make the whole knife on the table before I begin. It's time to light the forge. When the steel is ready, I begin shaping the profile of the blade, starting with the tip. Because I want consistency, I match the profile to my template. I'll use a hot cut tool to trim the extra length off the handle. After checking for straightness, I reheat the blank for a process called normalizing in preparation for a good heat treat. Next step is to use the grinder to refine the shape of the blade. I'll start again with the profile. Now that the profile is where I like it, I'll work the flats and then the bevel. Once the blade looks good, I'll mark the holes used for attaching the scales to the tang. Using a center punch, I will mark the center of the holes to keep the drill bit on track during drilling. A little oil helps the drill bit cut the metal. The extra holes serve to lighten the handle and create more surface contact for the epoxy. The most critical step in bladesmithing is the heat treat. I'll heat the steel to its critical temperature and then quench in oil. Clamping the knife immediately after quenching will keep everything straight while the steel hardens. Scraping the edge with a file tells whether or not the steel has hardened. Here is an unhardened blank for comparison. The knife goes back in the oven for some tempering cycles, after which it will go from hard and brittle to strong and flexible. After tempering, I drop the knife tip first into a brick as a sink or swim test, and there is no damage. Now it is ready to be polished. I'll trace the tang on the carbon fiber, then I'll cut the handle scales from it. I drilled the hole for the tang pins, and I'll use alcohol to keep the dust down. Using my carbon fiber pin stock, I'll keep the scales lined up while I grind and polish the top. I'll go ahead and cut the pins, then I'll epoxy the scales to the tang. The rest of the profile can be worked after the epoxy cures. I'm careful to place the clips in a way that allow me to wipe away excess epoxy. Using a small wheel attachment, I'll shape the rest of the profile of the handle. The knife is ready to be parkerized, which will turn the steel black and protect it from rusting. I heat the magnesium phosphate solution to 190 degrees Fahrenheit, and I submerge the knife in the pot. When the steel stops bubbling, the process is finished. After a quick rinse in cold water, I'll sand with a fine grit sandpaper and then parkerize it again. A little oil and some steel wool, and I'll burnish the blade. Sharpening time. Shaving hair and cutting paper tells me I've achieved a keen edge. Final buff for the carbon fiber scales to bring out their shine. Now that the knife is finished, I'll make the sheath from a material known as Kydex. Kydex is a thermoplastic that can be heated and molded to match the shape of the knife perfectly. I'll use a heat press and a vacuum press to mold the Kydex around the knife. When the Kydex has cooled, I can remove it from the mold, trace the outline, and drill the eyelet holes using a special drill bit. I'll trim away the extra, then sand and buff the edges until smooth and uniform. After buffing, I'll split the Kydex, remove the knife, then work the mouth of the sheath. When both halves are ready, I'll attach the ulti clip, then rivet the Kydex together using eyelets and an arbor press. The final result is a knife that clips into the sheath and a sheath that clips into your pocket.
Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank you so much for watching. I also want to thank Nate for hosting this video. I know this is something I've never done before. I thought it was an amazing experience. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was so cool to be able to sit back and just watch him at work. He's so talented. I love filming this project. And be sure to stay tuned for part 2 of this video, which is going to be me making a ring out of matching materials. That should go live within the next couple of days. If you are interested in purchasing one of these, we'll have a link to that down in the description below. It's a bundle that will include both the knife and the ring. The knife will also come with the sheath you saw Nate make, and the whole thing will come standard with our premium packaging. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in part 2.